Hello, hello, hello. So I was going to stream on Facebook, but because it changed to SSL only streaming, then it doesn't work because I have an old version of my streaming program. It doesn't want to work with SSL. So I just decided to stream on YouTube because it just works. So it's not going to be a long stream. I just want to start working on this project. It's called Autojump, and it's very interesting and actually useful project. I will explain what it is. Okay, so you understand we're working on. So the project sometimes is called this. It already exists, of course, nothing new, but it's very helpful because it's sometimes called J or Z. It's one command that allows you to jump. That's why it's called auto jump between folders, right? Because you probably notice that when you're on the command line like this, you probably jump through the same directories over and over and over again. So for example, maybe you go to your downloads directory a lot, right? But to do that, you have to type cd and then the directory name, maybe some tab, auto tabulation, right? And maybe there are other folders like your home folder. Maybe you have some other folders like some project you're working on. That's another folder, right? Maybe you have a projects folder, or Rails. For example, I have the Rails example that I use for some of my videos, right? There's also a folder. I have to cd, which by the way, cd means change directory. If you didn't know that, have to change directory into this, and that makes my current directory this directory, Rails example. And what that means is that now when I run a command like ls, right, I can see the files and folders inside that directory, right? So what I want to do is a program called Autojump, and what it does, note that we have this context, is it replaces the cd command and it records all of the directories that you go into, right? So it replaces the cd command, but then it calls the original cd command, basically. But the difference is that it's going to record all of the folders that you go into, right? And it's going to keep like a small database, which doesn't have to be like MySQL or something like that. It can just be a file, right? Because in the end, a database is just a file with a specific format, right? Database is nothing magical. It's just a file with a specific format. In the case of MySQL or Postgres or these kinds of databases that are more advanced, the format is more complex, more advanced, because it has to be the way the data is structured together, right? But there are also simple databases that you can build just with a file, and you can use like a plain text format, like YAML, right? YAML is format that can be used to store data in plain text. Usually YAML you will find for configuration files, things like fixtures in Rails. If you know what fixtures are, they're used for testing. And by the way, I have a testing course if you're interested in TDD, test-driven development. So that's test-driven development. A lot of people ask me what skills besides Ruby do you need to become a good developer? Well, TDD, or test-driven development, is one of those skills, and I gave a workshop, a paid workshop, early this year. I recorded that, and it's available as something you can purchase to learn this and also support my work. So if you're interested on that, you can email me and I will send you the link where you can get that. So that's that. And the reason I mentioned that is because YAML files are used for testing. They're also used for a few other things. And a YAML file is like a kind of database almost, because it has data. Yeah, so that's that. The task to explain that our Autojump project we're going to be building here together is going to need some way to keep track of the folders you are cding into. Yes, I made that verb right now, cding or change directory into the folders that you go. And then what we're going to do is it's going to look something like that. Maybe if your most popular, let me go just into Pry. If your most popular is going to look like a hash, right? Let's see, frequent folders. It's going to look something like this, okay? And then let's say that downloads is your most frequent, so it's going to look download maybe 10. Okay, maybe you starting using this, so downloads is just 10. Then the next is my Rails example. Okay, and this we do two things. Once, so we will be building this hash as we use this change directory command, as we are change directory, and we're going to be using this in two ways. One is when you type something, for example, like I was saying, the J or Z, these are commands that you can use for other auto-completion, auto-jump programs that already exist. But the one we're going to be building, maybe we can use R because R is for Ruby, or maybe something else. It's one letter because this is supposed to be a shortcut, something that you want to do very fast, right? And I actually intend to use this if we build it correctly, because it's very helpful if you work a lot in the command line, which we do have as Ruby developers, right? So the two ways we use this data, this hash, is one, when we use that command, whatever letter we choose to use or name, then what will happen is we will print this. We print a little table where we can see, okay, downloads, you use this a lot, you use this a lot, right? So that's already useful because you can see what you spend your time doing in the command line, in what folders did you go often, things like that. So that information by itself, I really find helpful. But secondly, if we put a little number in front and we create like a menu, right? So it can look something like 1. Maybe downloads, it can look something like that. And then you can say you went 10 times into this folder, and then it's going to say 2, and then this other one, right? So it's going to create this table-like menu thing, and then you can say, supposing the command is J, then we can say J1, and what will happen is that we jump. That's why it's called, that's the part, the auto jump part. This is the jump part, right? So the project is called Autojump. Jumping means we're jumping into the directory. We're change directorying just by tapping the number that corresponds to that folder, right? So in this case, J1 means we want to change directory into downloads. And of course, the advantage of that is that J1 is a lot shorter than CD downloads, right? And even more than that, if instead of on your home folder, you are like on, I don't know, maybe up D something project 1, to get from here to the downloads folder, you will have first to go your home folder. So it's 2 CD changes. So it's CD to go into your home folder, and then CD downloads. So it's 2 steps, right? But with G to G1, I take you there. So that's why it's a very useful program. And on top of that, the second functionality is we're going to implement an auto complete. So if I'm typing cd d, just cdd like that, because we are replacing the cd command by our own program, then we're going to look for things on our frequent folders hash that start with a D. And then we're going to take the most frequent one and auto jump into that. So that's another way to, and that's the auto part, by the way. The first part is the jump part, is the auto jump, because it's finding from our common frequent folders, it's finding which one we want to jump into. So in this case, if I type cdr, it will cd me into Rails examples. And if there is no matching, it will not cd anywhere. We just say whatever else change directory says when you're trying to change into a directory that doesn't exist. So for example, abcd says this. So we'll say the same thing if the folder is not in our frequent folders and the folder doesn't actually exist. So that's the overview of the project. Hope you can see how that works. If you have any question, hi Jesus, to approach an Autojump cable in the future. Sure. What do you want to say about Autojump cable? Any specific use cases or examples that you have in mind? Please let me know. And we can do it because it helps me if you give me specific use cases or ideas of how you want me to use Autojump cable, right? Because it can be used, it doesn't have only one use for Autojump cable, it has multiple uses. Okay. Oh, and I just realized I have a typo on my title. So that's a thing. We program it. Fixed, I think. There we go. So yeah, let me know what you want for the Autojump cable project, or if you have any other project ideas, let me know. We can build them if they are not too complicated. So that's explanation of this Autojump project. If you want, you can build it. You can build it yourself, or you can watch me build it. Whatever you prefer, and build it along. I'm eating a pear right now, so hold on. Taking some bites. pretty well. Okay, so for the project, remember, also you have Ruby questions. I will be happy to answer them for you. So just type them in the chat. It's okay to ask questions. In fact, I think smart people ask lots of questions. Okay. And someone said that there are no stupid questions. So there you go. Okay. So how do we get started with a project like this? Well, the first thing to do is to be very clear what the project is all about. And that's exactly what we did right now, right? You want to clarify the project, because I find that a lot of people that start a project don't know where to start because they are not clear on what the project is, or what the project does, or what the project looks like, right? You have to kind of visualize and get like a mental idea of what it looks like, and also maybe write down some notes on the features, on what it looks like I did right here. So this, like doing a mock-up, right? It's you're getting some ideas of what the project looks like, so you know what you're working towards, right? So that the main thing about this program is that it's going to replace the cd command, the change directory command, right? So I think we can kind of start there and see how we can make that work. And we don't have to worry about everything else yet. We have it mapped out, right? We made our project planning, but right now I want to focus on one feature. I think the most important thing here to get started is to see how we can do this replacing of the regular cd command, change directory, right? So to do that, we can do a few things. I'm going to be using not IRB or pry like I would use for this case normally, but because we're working with the environment, external environment of our terminal, right? I want to use ruby-e. So if you don't know what ruby-e is, it allows you to run Ruby code like this, right? So this is the code. Just regular Ruby code, and it can be any code that you want. So you can just do puts 1, 2, 3, and there you go, right? So now what I want to figure out is how we can make the change, how we can make the change the directory from inside Ruby, okay? Because here is the thing, if I go to IRB and I do dir, which stands for directory, I do chdir, which stands for change directory. I think that's correct, yes. I can change this to like temp for the temporary folder, right? And if I now exit, you will notice that I'm still on the same path. I'm still on Rails example. I'm not on temp, even though that I said change there to temp. If I try this here, same thing. So we want to figure out how we can make and calling a Ruby script change this, the actual current directory, not the current directory just for the Ruby program, but the current directory for the terminal. So I don't know how to do that, but I have some ideas. So at this point, we know what we want to do. We pick a specific feature, and now we enter this exploratory kind of discovery, or we're just going to play around and come up with some ideas to see how we can make this happen, right? now that we know what we want to do. Okay, so I'm going to take another bite of my fruit and then we're going to continue. Hold on. Pretty good. Hey Jesus, thanks for your videos. They really helped me learning Ruby. Do you know any other languages? Will you do videos in other languages? Okay, well, I'm glad that you find my videos helpful. And yes, I do know other programming languages. I do know some PHP, some little bit of Java, some C, the C programming language, not C sharp or anything like that, just C. So I also work a little bit with Perl. In fact, Perl was like one of my favorite programming languages back many years ago, like 2000s and 1998. About that time era, I was doing Perl. Much later than I found Ruby. Yeah, I will not make, at least for the time being, make videos on other languages. So that's that. And I think that if you're learning programming for the first time, you have to focus on only one language. Why? Because if you don't, you're going to be all kinds of confused, because you're going to be mixing concepts and ideas from different languages, and it's already hard to learn your first programming language. If you try multiple at the same time, you're going to be very confused. So just stick with one until you're really good and really proficient with that. So that's 1 year plus of time, by the way. So back to our little project right here. By the way, if you have more questions about Ruby or anything, feel free to type them in the comments. I will be happy to answer them for you. So for this, my idea right now is to try the system command. So system, what it does is it runs commands, operating system commands. So if we try to run cd, the original cd in here, so that's going to be like bin cd, but we don't have to do that. Sorry. We can try this, and I think this might work. Let's find out. No, it doesn't. So that's going to be interesting. I think the next idea is a system call. System calls are something in Linux. I think there are some Mac, Windows using a different form that allow you to tell the operating system directly to do things. So let's see. And if you're coming in the live stream recently, we're working this Autojump project, which is for navigating in your terminal. I have some examples in here of what that means, right? Also, quick reminder, if you are liking this, to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Visit my website, rubyguides.com. I have a book that you can buy if you want to learn Ruby faster and support my work. So that's rubyguides.com. So back to this Autojump project. All right, so if this doesn't work, maybe we need let's call us hold on. What did I say it's called? System calls. Yes, system calls. That's what it's called. And we need to figure out how to do systems calls from Ruby. Oh, we have some comments. Angular with Rails, tell something about it. Well, I don't know much Angular, so I can't really help you with that. Oh, and by the way, this error, it doesn't matter. It's just an error for the, because I put this in like a comment symbol. Again, back to your comments. So Angular, unfortunately, I can't help you with Angular, so sorry about that. Sonish Nas, it's me a long time after. Okay. Hi Sonish, how are you doing? Make advanced tutorial on Ruby language series. What do you mean by advanced? Because here is the thing, right? For me and for you, advanced are different things. Okay? Let me show you a little example. For this thing right here, for me it's kind of advanced, but not super advanced. But for someone else, this might be like completely out of here, like completely crazy. And they have absolutely no idea what's going on with this, right? So, but for some other people, right, then you get all of that. For some other people, something as simple as doing a range like this, for example. Let's do this. 10 map, maybe like that. Something like this is advanced for another person, right? Do you get that? A lot of people, especially for a beginner, this is going to be advanced for them. But for someone who has working with Ruby for a long time, this is very basic. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you say make an advanced Ruby series, you need to be more, you have to tell me exactly what you mean. What topics, what concepts specifically would you like me to cover? Because I don't know where you at or what you consider advanced or what's advanced for you, because what I just explained, everybody is at different points in their learning, and what they consider advanced or basic is completely different. You have to realize and understand that. It's something that I understand that I didn't understand at first. I thought maybe there are some absolute levels of that everybody understands, but not. It doesn't work like that, because everybody has different understanding of what it means for something to be advanced or not. And also there are some psychological biases and things that might make yourself not be able to correctly understand your level, your current level, right? So if you're willing to tell me a bit more specifically, enjoying your words, I want to mean code challenges like flipping coin, etc., permutations, combinations. Okay, perfect. Now we have something more tangible that we can work on. So flipping a coin is simple, right? Flipping a coin is just a random function, right? So let's say that I have an array like this. I have what is tails and whatever face. I don't know what the two sides are right now. XL. What do you mean, Daniel? With XL, if you can be more specific, that will be helpful. Okay, so heads of tiles, of course. Heads or tiles, right? So what I done here is I have an array and assign the array to A. The array is made up of two symbols, tails and heads, which are the two possibilities. Now to pick from this array one random coin, so therefore flipping a coin, you can use the sample method, right? That, see? Very simple. So we can do sample, and we get a random flipping of a coin. If we want to repeat this many times, we can use a trick like this. I can do array.new 10, and then can do a.sample, and we get an array of 10 coin flips, basically. Okay? So that's how you flip a coin. And if you want, I will be doing more coding challenges. Do you use Pry for debug? Excel is an error. Okay. Yes, I use Pry for debugging. I do. So you can do binding.pry. You can put this in some code, and then you get like a debugging console that you can use. Would you like a quick demo of that? I can show you that if you want. Let me know. So you're saying, and what you seen this type awesome. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by type awesome? Sonish. Yeah, we'll be doing more coding challenges on how to solve them if you want to see that. So that's how you get an array of 10 flipping coins. Okay, hope that answers your questions. Now for permutations, we have methods too, right? You can do them yourself with something like recursion. It's called recursion, which is a method or a function that calls itself. Okay, but if you want to do it the easy way, then we can do 1, 2, 3, then combinations 2, and that gives us an enumerator object. If you want to learn more about enumerator, and blocks, lambdas, all of that, metaprogramming, I have a Ruby book that I wrote myself, so it's pretty good. And you can find it in my website, rubyguides.com. The book name is Ruby Deep Dive, and I think you will really enjoy it if you enjoy these kinds of videos and you enjoy my blog post. So what can we do with an enumerator? Well, we can call to A. We can make it into an array, and that's all of the combinations that we can get of 2 elements, right? So there you go. We can do combinations of 1 element, of 3 elements, and then you can also do permutations, and permutations is permutation, like that, and that's permutations. Now there is a difference, of course, between permutations and combinations. The difference is that combinations, they are not repeated, I think. They are not duplicates. I think that's the difference. And also the order matters. In one, the order is it has to do something with the order, but if we look at the count of the possible permutations and combinations, there is always more permutations than combinations. That I can tell you for sure, right? As you can see here. So there you go. That's how you do combinations and permutations. it's good to know that combinations and permutations are very slow, okay? So they might not work if you are working with big arrays. And with big, I mean over 1000. I think it's where it starts getting really slow. We can try it. So permutation array. Permutation. Oh, it has to be on an array, so we can do that. So now let's size this. Oh, that's a lot of combinations, right? If you do this, yeah, that's going to be really slow, as you can see. That's a lot. So permutations only work for small inputs, so small arrays, small whatever, right? So in those cases, you probably want to look to use something like a hash or something, or a set arrays, something that you can get more constant or access to. So that's that. Hope I answered that question. And yes, I will be doing more coding challenges if you want. So great, Jesus. Yeah. Okay. How to code the max price of a product is 10, a minimum, what coins are required. Okay. Yeah, we do more of those. So let me answer Daniel's now. So yeah, let's do a Pride debug demonstration, okay? So let me create a little file here. Let's call it Pride demo. Okay? And here I'm going to put something, maybe what we can put in here. Use a equals 10. I just want some number here. And then I'm going to do require pry, because we need to have pry. But there is a trick you can do as well if you don't have pry, require pry in your code. But that's another thing. Now, if I put binding.pry in here, when I run this program, what's gonna happen is that we get this debugging session, or not. Hold on. It should work. There we go. I guess because the program ended, this was the last line, then it didn't actually go through. So that's what the debugging session looks like in Pry, right? I also explained this in my Ruby book. What you're seeing here is an arrow. This arrow shows you the current line, and these other lines are called the context, okay? The context. And this is where you are inside the code. Now, what you can do inside Pry is you can play around with whatever is in your code. So we can see, in other words, we can see the value of A, right? You can see that's the value of A. Why is that the value? Because if we do that, it's 1000. So that's how you debug. You find out all of the values. I think there is something we can do here as well. Locals, maybe. Local variables. There, we can see that we have A and B. The interesting thing here is that B is nil, but it's defined as a local variable. Well, that's because on the line that the arrow is in, it's not being run yet. It's not being evaluated by Ruby. In other words, this assignment didn't happen yet, but Ruby found that we have this B local variable in our source code. And all of these other variables, well, these are specific to Pry, Okay, these are price specific variables, and there is some interesting tricks and things you can do with those, but that's for another day probably. So things you can do in price, basically that you can use anything, any Ruby code as you would normally in price. There is also a help menu, right? These are the commands you can use. For example, you can use this. I will tell you we print this again, so you can get reminded where you're at, right? I'm not sure what stat is. Oh, okay. Guess we need some method now. Well, that's another thing. So yeah, the point of price is that you drop where you want to investigate the values of variables or things like that. This can be very helpful inside a method, right? So you can see what the parameter values are. So this is what I mean. If this was a method, def and whatever, Apple A, B, C, we might want to see what A, B, and C are, right? So we will have our binding price here. And now if we call Apple 1, 2, 3 and Apple 2, 3, 4, and we run this, we can see that now we are inside the method invocation, and we can see the value for A, B, and C. And if we want to go into the next call, we can call next. Right, now we are here. Next again, and we are inside Apple, but this time the values are different. So that's how you use this. And when you are done, you can type exit, and you can remove this. So there you go. So that's the price demo. Hope you found that helpful. Do you have any questions? Daniel, was that helpful? Let me know, or is there something specific you would like me to highlight, explain about price or debugging in general? Or anyone else, if you have a Ruby question, I will be happy to answer it for you. Okay, so that's the price demo. Again, it's something that is very helpful when you want to see methods that are being called, what the parameters are, what the local variables are. Again, you also have this menu with help, with other commands, have these local variables, so that's very helpful. And then just quickly reviewing what we covered, if you just jump in, because there's a live stream and people jump in all of the time. So we have permutations, combinations, right? That's helpful. Also, we show how to do the coins, tiles, and heads with sample. So sample is a method that gives you a random value, right? I also show you this, where you can get 10 random values, like this. And before all of that, we were also trying to do a project, Autojump project, but I think we are about done with that. Web scraping needed for you. I use Spry for debugging errors. Oh, that's good. Okay. Good. Web scraping needed from you using HTTP party etc. Okay. Well, I like to use Faraday because Faraday is called an adapter gem. So it uses other gems. Faraday. There. It uses other gems as its main method of operation. So it uses, I think, HTTP party and others. Ruby's built-in net HTTP, so net HTTP, and they are grouped through this Faraday gem. So this is called an adapter gem. So, and this applying a design pattern called exactly that, the adapter design pattern. So adapter design pattern. It's not something that you have to do, but the gem is doing it for you. So I think that's something interesting to know. So Faraday allows you to make an HTTP request. What does that mean? Well, it means that we can request information from a web server. We have example.com for these cases. We can do R for request, and of course it's Faraday. It helps if you type things correctly, okay? So HTTP there. So we get back a Faraday response object, okay? Just a moment. Feel free to ask. You have more questions or project ideas or something? And try to finish my piece of fruit. Eating and streaming and calling. Just a moment. By the way, it's so hot in here, I'm sweating and everything. So, yeah. And I don't have air conditioner, so it's kind of hot in here. So yeah, you get a Faraday response, and this is an object. And what can you do with objects? Well, you can call methods, because methods are what make things happen in Ruby. So in here you will notice this body, and that's what we want. So if I do r.body, what I get is the contents of that web page, right? But this is the HTML content, just as you would see if you visit this page, example.com, and you go to the browser and you right click on the browser. There is a show source option. I think there is also a shortcut like Ctrl+U, but the sure way to find this, if you right click on the page, show source, you will see exactly this, right? You will see the HTML and in this case also CSS mixed in there, code for this page. Now, you ask about web scraping. Web scraping, for those of you that don't know, is exactly this. You request the HTML data from a site, and then you extract, you pull out information from the page. There's all kinds of information that you can pull out. For example, we can pull out the title, we can pull out links. Sometimes you can, if it's like a product page, you can pull out the image of the product, you can pull out the price, and things like that. Just one little notice right here, there are a lot of pages that they don't like that you do this, okay? Because they think you are kind of taking their information, especially when it comes to prices or things like that. There are sites that are very competitive on prices, and then they're like having bots scrapping or automatically reading their prices, so you can match them or whatever. So you have to keep that in mind. So always read the terms of services or whatever. Your best bet is to find some kind of API. Okay, with the API, you can request information very safely because they knowingly expose that information for you to use. Well, with web scraping, information is mostly there for web browsers, for people that normally visit the website. But still, this is possible to read it with a program and then extract some information. You can do, well, as long as you're not doing something like that, then it's fine, okay? I just wanted to make sure that you know that in case you don't know. Maybe I don't know laws, I won't get into that. Just note that. Might change depending where you live or anything like that. Now, with that out of the way, how do you actually extract information from this? Because this string is what we have to work with. Well, in Ruby we have something very, very nice that's called Nocookie. And this has nothing to do with the project that we were going to work on with the Autojump project. I guess we will leave that for the next day. But I like to answer these questions so I can build something that's more direct to what you want to know right now, or what you need right now. So Nocookie is a super useful, super cool gem that we be able to take this that it might seem like it doesn't mean anything. I will make meaning out of this. That's called parsing. When you make meaning out of something like this, when you extract meaning of some string, it doesn't have to be HTML. It can be anything, any other string. When you extract meaning of that, we call that parsing, right? And that's what Nocookie does. It does the parsing for you. Now, to use Nocookie, you will look at the documentation for Nocookie. So for any gem that you want to learn how to use, there is examples. There is documentation, there are tutorials, okay? And one thing that's very important, I wanted to make a whole video about this idea, is that, or at least share it in some way, is that one of your primary jobs as a Ruby developer is to figure things out, okay? People are going to pay you to figure things out. Read out my previous comment, okay? Let's see. What fruit do you eat? It's a pear. I hope I am pronouncing that directly. In Spanish will be una pera. Spanish, by the way, if you didn't know that. So it's a pear that I was eating. It's already done. Yes, you are the king in Ruby land. Oh, thank you. Yes. Yes, much to learn from you. Yeah, I hope you're learning a lot. And can you make a bot using web scraping in Ruby? Lots of Python developers done, but Ruby has strong but less odd resources to learn. Yeah, there are less resources for Ruby, and that's what I'm trying to help with here, right? Trying to help with these resources by creating these videos. My articles on my site, rubyguides.com. So that's rubyguides.com. you find a lot of tutorials in here. I keep adding more tutorials so you can find these resources. Now, to build a bot, I don't know exactly what you mean by bot. What is this bot going to do exactly? Because a bot, whatever it does, is going to be built on top of some functionality, right? And the base functionality, the fundamentals, is going to be for web scraping 2 things. One, using a gem like Faraday. It could be, if you prefer, you can use HTTP. I don't have nothing against it. Or XCon, Net, HTTP. I have an article called, you can Google for this, Ruby HTTP request, Ruby. You can Google for Ruby HTTP request, and one of my Ruby guides articles will come up. And in there I explain how this works and the different gems that you have available. But that's one of the pieces, actually requesting the information from the server, right? And once you have the information, the next step, have always when programming, think in terms of steps and different components that you can put together, right? And the next step is to parse this, make sense out of this HTML. How do we do that? Well, Nocookie is very helpful for that. Of course, you don't need Nocookie, you don't need Faraday. You could do this by hand, by writing all of the code yourself. But by using these gems, you're saving yourself a lot of work. And to use the gems, again, you can find every gem, every single gem that has any amount of users has documentation. Okay, that's for sure. So you can, for example, you can look for Faraday space documentation, you Google that. Or you can Google Nocookie space documentation, or Nocookie tutorial, or Faraday tutorial, or HTTP in Ruby tutorial. Like I was saying, your job as a Ruby developer, the reason people are going to be paying you money to be a developer is not just because your technical skills, but also because your ability to solve problems and figure things out. Okay, and that means that you have to read the tutorials, but if there is no tutorial, then you have to read the documentation. You have to ask questions if something doesn't make sense, but make your questions very specific. Don't just ask, how do I use Nocookie? Ask something more specific, like, okay, so I have the HTML. Now, how do I extract the title of this HTML using Nocookie? So that's more specific than saying, how do I use Nocookie? If I say, how do I use Nocookie to extract the title, given that I already have some HTML, right? That's a lot more specific. And the more specific questions you can ask, the better answers you will get. So that's that. I think is very important. So now, exactly that question. How do we extract? Let me go back to the comments. Can you give an idea project, cool stuff? Yes. There are lots of projects you can build. For example, the project I already mentioned, that we're going to build the Autojump project. There are many other projects. Can build like a book catalog, or quote catalog, Rails app. You can build, I have some ideas written down. Hold on. You can build an API for something, I don't know. Or you can use an API like NASA's API, Twitter API, Facebook's API, whatever. Or you can build like a botting or quiz survey kind of app, right? There's a lot of things that you can make if you can use a bit of imagination. Right, goes to the part of figuring things out. So let's go back to this. Nocookie. I think if I remember correctly, it's Nocookie document parse, something like that. Let me look it up because I actually don't remember, so that's fine. It's fine to look things up and don't remember specific syntax, right? Because we look this up all the time. So I find my own article, so that's great. So it's Nocookie. Again, I just Google this. I Google Nocookie, and one of the first things that came from me is my own article, and there's what I'm looking for. So Nocookie HTML parse. What are we going to parse? Well, the HTML, and the HTML is the request body. There you go. And the result of this is a new object. Again, objects take methods. So I'm going to save this as document doc. Let's call this doc. Why doc? Because it's a Nocookie HTML document. Okay. And now we can do this. Ta-da! We got the title out of the page. Now we can repeat this process for another page, so we can do my own site. So that would be rubykites.com. Okay, we're going to get the title. So we get the document and the title, and there we go. That's the title as it is right now if you visit the site. Okay, so now when you have this repeatable process, this is another important part. When you have a process like this that you can repeat by just changing something like this one URL, then you make this into a method. Okay, you make this into a method so you can reuse it with different URLs. So by that I mean something like this. You will do def fetch title, for example, and then the parameter will be a URL, and inside we put everything we did to make this happen, which is this, and then this, and finally this. And now we have a very nice method that we can reuse for any page we want. There's a little problem. I hard-coded this. So in Pride, there is something you can do. You can edit the method. I bet you didn't know that, or maybe you did. Good for you. Or I'm using it correctly, and that's another thing. Things this. Ta-da! There. So when you do this, don't forget to replace your hardcode string with that. We say yes to save. And now, oh, we have to have that. Ta-da! rubykites.com. Oh, it has to be HTTPS. So there we go. And the beauty of this that now you have a reusable component in the form of this method. So what you do is you build these methods up, and then you combine them and reuse them. So that will be the base of a bot scrapper kind of thing. This process. Okay. Then send greetings to my friend Mario Matis, please, thanks. Who's that? I don't know who is that. But okay. I like the sound. Okay. What do you mean? Yeah, so did I answer that for cool projects? So another project you can do is like an invoice generator that generates PDFs, like an invoice generator generates your PDF given some line items, right? Like maybe oranges, 5, every orange is whatever it is, 50 cents. Then that equals 250, and then you have one line. That's a line item, right? It's the product times the quantity. Well, it's not minus, it's just a separator. The quantity, the unit price, then the total. That's a line item, and you can do this for and generate a PDF, and then you will have to figure out how to generate PDFs in Ruby, which is, there are different ways, right, to do it. And you will have to experiment and enter this discovery phase so you can test the different ways that you can do it and find out which one works best for you. Oh, another interesting project is a URL shortener. URL shortener, right? That's another interesting project you can do. So I hope I gave you enough ideas. So any other questions that you might have? Mariana is my best friend and a Ruby developer too. Okay. Hello, Mariana. Is he watching? Is that why you mentioned that? Is he watching the stream? Well, if you are, hey. Invoice. Wow. Well, what did I say? Your job is to figure it out. If I hire you to make an invoice generator, will you figure it out? Yes, right? You have to believe that you can do it. You have the training in Ruby, then the ability to figure things out, then you can. So there are gems and ways that you can do it. So for example, let me just give you a hint. There's something called WK.html. The name is WK.html to PDF. So it's not like this. Let me see if I got that right. Yes. So you can Google for that. And what this is, it's a binary. It's not a Ruby gem. It has nothing to do with Ruby. But you can download this and you can use it to convert HTML to PDF. No surprise, right? Based on this naming here. I'm not sure what WK means, but this part is very clear. So using this, do you think you will be able to build the invoice generator or report? It could be some kind of report PDF or any other kind of PDF. In fact, I use this to build my book. I generate the PDF for my book, Ruby Deep Dive, which you can get on my website, rubyguides.com. I use this to create the book, to generate the actual PDF for the book, right? So that's very helpful. And the hint is this part, by the way, is that you can use HTML, which you should already know how to do if you're a Rails developer. And that doesn't mean you have to use Rails, but you know how to do HTML, right? So if you know how to do HTML, then you can take that HTML to PDF. There, I just gave you everything you need to know to go this way. Now there is another way completely different way to do this, because I research a lot how to do PDFs in Rails. And that's a gem called Brown. Yes, it's called Brown. And this actually a Ruby gem. I believe has no external dependencies. And this is a gem that you can also use to generate PDFs, but it works in a completely different way than the other thing. And if you research this, which, like I said, is your job, then you will find out why. Personally, with my experience doing a lot of PDFs for Ruby guides for my business, because Ruby guides is a business. It's not just something I do to pass time. Okay. I do it because I like to help people, but also because it's a business, right? So I create a lot of PDFs that I give away that I also sell as part of the courses and books and things that I do, that I offer, right? I found out that this works better for me because I know how HTML works. I don't know how PDF works, but I understand how HTML works. And if I understand how HTML works, then I can just create whatever I want to do in HTML format, and then just take this thing and tell it, hey, convert it for me into a PDF, right? Rather than learn this more about the PDF format itself, right? There are some layers of abstraction. That means that it's made easier for you, but still you have to go more from the PDF side of things. So that's that. And you can do anything you want. You can even make games, video games, if you want with Ruby. Like, it might sound like a cliché thing or something like that, but your imagination is the limit, really. You can do anything you want with Ruby. You're not limited to web applications. You're not limited to Rails or anything like that. Okay. That is gem to convert HTML to PDF. No. It's not a gem. It's not a gem. It's an external program, just like Chrome. It's not a gem, right? Or Windows, Linux, they are not gems. Firefox is not a gem. Then you get the idea, right? All of these things are not gems, but are computer programs. Well, this is a computer program that you can use from Ruby as part of your Ruby program to do this, okay? As far as I know, there is no gem that does this. There is a gem that uses this as part of the gem, but there is no gem that by itself can properly transform, as far as I know, HTML to PDF, because apparently it's a very complicated thing to do. And actually, if you want to know how this works, this actually uses Chrome. That's interesting. It uses Chrome in something that's called headless mode to render the PDF. I think that's how that works, or something like that, or Selenium or some other like browser thingy. I'm not sure if it's Chrome right now. I think it is. Anyway, that's that. That's not a gem. It's a binary. Okay, I understand. Thanks for the explanation. No problem. You're welcome. Just want to make sure that the difference is clear. So that's. Any other Ruby questions? Because I'm about to end this live stream. It's been an hour already. I always start these streams, they're like, I'm going to stream for 10 minutes, and then end up being like 1 hour plus. But you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them now. If not, just a reminder that there are lots of other videos on this channel, so make sure to subscribe to it if you haven't yet, and watch these other videos. You can find kinds of topics. Rails, I just published recently about Rails migrations. I also have other Rails videos if you want to learn more about Rails. Have Ruby videos where we go deep just into one Ruby method or one Ruby concept, something like that, right? So that's that. Okay, so thanks a lot for watching. We are done for today. Thanks for your support with those likes. So click the like button on my videos. It helps more people see this and find these videos. Not just on this video, but the other videos in the channel. It helps because the way YouTube works, when you click the like button, it shows the video, at least the way I understand it, shows the video for more people. So that's one way you can help. Also, you can share the channel and the videos with other people. Say, hey, want to learn more about Ruby? This is a good channel or this is a good site. Also, it's another way you can help me if you want to do it. Of course, you are not under any kind of obligation, but it's cool if you do. And I'm thankful if you help me grow the channel. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.